Hey man, say man, it's that time once again for me to talk about 4 Nights of the Apocalypse. This week we have chapter 209 titled The Abduction, and for the chapter cover we have Bond and Lancelot continuing on their walk from last chapter through the forest of Benwick, and it begins to start raining as well, which reminds Bond of that day again, the day Lancelot had disappeared. With Lancelot asking him what the training was, with Bond revealing it's really nothing as serious like that, and how it's all about aligning himself with the surroundings of the trees, the plants in the forest, and the stone walls and crowds in the town. With Lancelot getting it as the need to fully clear out one's mind, with Bond once again trolling, just disappearing, as he states that it's not really about clearing the mind, as he's talking to Lancelot through his mind right now. But Lancelot wondering how he's just fully lost sight of Bond. 6'11", 70 kg nigga, by the way. How do you lose sight of a nigga like that so easily? With Bond continuing to speak in Lancelot's mind about what people and animals can perceive outside of the five senses, with Lancelot thinking about it and clearing it as emotion, with Bond stating that that is indeed the case, and gives an example of like when someone of killing intent, basically, with Lancelot saying that he has to figure out a way to shut down those emotions. Bond going on to say that it's not as easy as that, but states that now that because of that, it would probably be a good time to tell Bond of like what had happened in the events of 8 years ago, with Lancelot seemingly having hesitated each time at the end, and how him and Jericho were investigating the abduction of humans across Britannia and ended up getting abducted themselves, with Lancelot remembering it very well. And we get thrown into a flashback where we see the rain getting really intense for Jericho and Lancelot, with Jericho telling Lancelot not to let go of her hand, and we see that the rain stops, and god damn, bro, you see all that woman right there. God, man, Jericho and the series 7 Deadly Sins, Jericho had a chokehold on niggas, bro. I'm telling you.
It's me. I'm niggas.
But now she's just, Nakaba decided to retcon her into being, a Diddy disciple. Like, we thought we were seeing a bad bitch, then suddenly he's recommending us Diddy. Bro, I'm over here trying to cook meat, and they showing me the meat master. The two of them then look up to realize that they are not in Benwick anymore and are in a strange land of sorts, like one giant sort of ocean monument, and they're on the only small plops of land there is. Jericho's confused at the pitch black sky as well, and how long the path is. Lancelot looks into the lake, with Jericho telling him to to step back, and shows that they are in the puddle, the so-called puddle, is a giant lake, and Jericho realizes that they've also been snagged, with Jericho saying that it's up to them to figure out what's going on and find a way out of there, with Lancelot being very enthusiastic about how on the job he is, and that he's gonna face the abductor in hopes that Bond will tell him that he did a good job. And then if we get a time skip to 3 days later, with Lancelot walking way behind Jericho, telling her to wait up and that he can't even walk any longer, and ask so many questions like have they found the guys yet? Where's the exit? Are there really any abductors at all? And Jericho states that in 3 days they've worked two things out. That one, the path on the lake doesn't end. Lancelot is drinking from said lake, and that drinking the water fills them without needing to eat food, and how they don't get tired. And Lancelot knows how Bond would love some ale made from this water, with Jericho telling him to lock in and be serious. And then all of a sudden we see every female anime character's probably worst nightmare drawn by certain artists, a tentacle, as it literally reaches out and yanks Lancelot, and Jericho goes to instantly save him, And Lancelot vexed is just like, oh, you trying to press me. He points his spear and activates Shining Road, alpha version, just in development, and the attack just gets punted away and just leaving the two of them speechless as the tentacle just waves mockingly before going back into the water. And Lancelot is just like, damn, I ain't shit, huh? My sure kill, Shining Road, just slapped away like that. Little does he know, in a couple years to come, that shit is genuinely a sure kill technique. I find it cool that his attack is called Shining Road, uses a spear, but you know what they say, man, all roads lead to Rome. What y'all know about my goat? With Jericho trying to cheer up Lancelot, talking about, oh nah, he just fled from the damage, man. You're just like that. With Lancelot just telling Jericho to be honest, as it had dodged her move, and Jericho again saying that he's good for a kid. 10 days later, after they'd first gotten kidnapped, Lancelot just starts screaming when they're gonna get out of here, with Jericho telling him to calm down and that they'll find the criminal and the exit. And Lancelot getting fed up. Oh my goodness, I understand why Lancelot does not like talking about this shit, bro. This shit would have pissed out. Jericho has the patience of a saint, because this shit would have pissed me off. I would have thrown this little nigga into the lake long ass time ago. Jericho then senses something, and then they spot something like floating in the river. They run over to see it, and Lancelot realizes it's the dishonest peddler who got abducted before them, and wonder why he's just, face first into the lake drowning. And then we see that this nigga wasn't the only nigga who was met with this gruesome fate, as Lancelot points to all the dead niggas. And 20 days later, nearly a full month here, we see these two just chilling on a plot of land, and Lancelot begins talking about how Barn was a no good bandit when he was young, and how he met Mom, and then the whole of mortal body, basically just dribbling about Barn's backstory, and mentions how Barn went to purgatory to help Meliodas and casted off his mortality to help Mama, and he's just droning about Barn's whole story and how Gopher told him, with Jericho stating that Lancelot has a really good dad, with Lancelot sharing that he hoped that he could be like him. Here, noticing the connotations of past tense being used, Jericho sits and is just like, yo, slow down, you sounding kinda, and then Lancelot interrupts her saying that he can't, and begins crying, stating that they're gonna die here just like the people in the lake, and that he feels like Elaine would be crying her eyes out to look for Lancelot, and he wants to see his parents again. Jericho telling Lancelot not to cry, and states that she'll stake her life on protecting him. And then they hear a sudden voice and look over to see this woman arising from the lake, and that is where the chapter ends. Now I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. This is the Lady of the Lake, or at least a Lady of the Lake, because in Arthurian legends there were more than one nymph in it. And obviously we know the Lady of the Lake has many iterations, one being Vivian, and we know Vivian's already a character in Seven Deadly Sins, so this could be like, this doesn't mean it's the Lady of the Lake, this could be a Lady of the Lake. One thing to note of is her appearance as well, in terms of her ears are different, her eyes, she got that no good look in her eye, bro. This the kind of stare that those horrendous evil that demon born light skins will give a nigga before taking all that is dear to you. Young kings, be safe out here. So this could be a Lady of the Lake, and because we know that, remember back in when Vargas was telling Percival about the world back in chapter 1, he mentioned such people, evil lake princesses that tempt heroes and imprison them. This could be one of said princesses. But I mean, that's what it says in the anime. In the manga, it says a princess. So it could be one Lady of the Lake after all, but we'll see what happens with it next chapter. And it's nice to see that we're only getting a couple days, weeks, this, that, and the third of over the course of like what's happened in this land. So we know these niggas are not gonna die, obviously. It's just a case of what happened next after this. And looking at how things have gone, Jericho's, like, obviously we know Jericho the meat master right now, and it really makes me kind of not believe the whole like she has a crush on Lancelot thing since he was 10. Like, the way they've just been interacting this entire time from like across the couple days, it's just it doesn't add up. It just genuinely doesn't add up, because how long were these guys stuck in this land? Like 2-3 years. So like I get it, a lot can happen within 2-3 years, but it's like Jericho had once admitted that she had seen Lancelot as a nephew. So for it to get to that, I don't know. It's interesting to see that we're finally getting a flashback to see what had happened in the time frame that had happened, that Lancelot was gone, and how it seems like they know how the special waters of the lake sort of fills them with fullness and never get tired after drinking it either, which makes me to believe that maybe because it helped Lancelot's hazy moon. I mean, maybe not. We'll see if we get further explanation on that in the future. But because we've seen him do the Shining Road and stuff even before he before on day one of them getting here, or was it day one? I'm already forgetting. Yeah, like 3 days in, we see this nigga do Shining Road. But then again, unless Hazy Moon itself awakened during this time that they drank it, because it was 3 days when we maybe. And obviously the longer he stayed there, the more he drank it. Maybe it's like that water from wherever this demonic this realm is constantly just fueling Lance's magic power, and that's why Shining Road is as sure hit as it is to this day, which makes you really wonder what kind of place this is. And it also makes you wonder, who the hell was this nigga Vargas in his prime? Because like I said, when he was talking to Percival about what different places are in the world, he mentions this place, a twisting tower where a wizard lives. What else did he say? Obviously he knew about Ironside, but like the caves to the demon realm, the maze, who was this nigga in his prime, bro? We have unexplained questions about Vargas that Nakaba likes to make us forget. We need something. I don't know whether through an Ironside flashback, an Arthur flashback, or maybe we see the nigga's dead spirit again if he's still around. Please, Vargas, please. And because we need explanation from Vargas on a lot of things, because how does he know about this? And depending on what happens next chapter, it'll be even more like crazy to think about. The next chapter is called The Lake Princess and the Boy, so it might just be a princess like most people speculate, and obviously the boy being Lancelot, so it might, maybe we'll get some things there which explain why Jericho ended up the way she does. Again, is maybe she a sleeper agent? Is like something to do with this princess, the lake princess here? Does she end up growing a fondness and an obsession with Lancelot and uses Jericho as her sort of like a catalyst to channel that or something? Maybe she can't leave the lake and just wants to be with Lancelot always, and just through Jericho she found a way to do it, or something of that nature. But that's all I can really think of to say in this chapter. Really, it's cool seeing that Shining Road wasn't always the busted move that it is, and that he's been able to, and that he made it from young. Maybe Shining Road is a representation of the path of how he sees Bond's journey through life, and wants to follow Bond on that Shining Road, so to speak. And honestly, like, looking at this, Lancelot genuinely was just a dork, bro. I think he's more of a dork than Tristan was at this age. I genuinely think out of the 4 9, I mean, we don't know what Gawain was like when she was younger. We get tidbits, but I think he was probably the dorkiest out of the 4 knights for sure. But yeah, we'll see what's going on next chapter with this. This was a nice chapter, informative, very informative. I'm surprised we're getting this flashback here. I feel like the other knights should hear this as well, since like I said, that these niggas are all they got for each other. So I feel like he will end up telling Tristan and the others at some point about this story. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Take care, have a good one. Also check out my boy's Twitter and stuff, because he's a 7 Deadly Sins fans like me, 4 Knights fans like me. He does like pixel arts of 7 Deadly Sins characters. So like, here's what he's done with King recently. He does them with his style. He does them to scale, by the way. He calculated it, the heights for pixels perfectly. So as you can tell by the King one, it took him a long ass time. Here's his Esquinol one, the Meliodas one. So yeah, go check out my boy JK JK Immortal on Twitter. I'll put it in the description. Here's the handle right here on the screen. And yeah, I'll see y'all next week for chapter 210, the Lake Princess and the Boy.